when I think about the current iteration of the AfroLatin movement, it's very interesting to me because I have never been confused about my Blackness, and I have never been confused. There is no coming into Black identity for me. Like, I have always been Black. I've never been confused about that. I've never been confused about where the color of my skin and the texture of my hair would land me in terms of conversations about race. And so when I say that Blackness is not confused, I'm specifically saying that people who physically cannot, and I'm going to use the word escape, cannot escape the brownness of their skin, the kinkiness of their curl, or the broadness of their nose, or the broadness of their lips, automatically know where they are in society, automatically have an understanding about the places they can and cannot go safely. I knew growing up in Brooklyn that after certain hours I couldn't be in Crown Heights. This is the 90s. I knew that after certain hours you got out of certain sections of Crown Heights because it was unsafe for you, that somehow anything that went wrong would be your fault. I knew that. I was never confused about that. There was no ambiguity about that. So even today with my students, we did a activity where they had to split themselves up according to race and specifically according to phenotype, color of skin, texture of hair, nose, features, all of those features, and they had to split them up. And what was fascinating, my Black students from across the diaspora, from the continent of Africa, from the Caribbean and African American, were not confused. They went straight to the end of the line. When we talked about specifically how race and equity would line up in this kind of mock Casta system that we did in my class, where it got confusing, and this is important, where it got confusing were the students that were mestizos or mulatto, or maybe a little bit more indigenous looking. Those students did not know where to go. And I think it's important that we highlight that confusion and make space for it. It's not a problem. I'm glad. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about this. But the two groups that knew exactly what was going on were the students that were closer, their proximity to whiteness was obvious, and the students who their distance from whiteness was the most obvious. And they understood intrinsically, without me giving them any instruction, what that would mean for equity. Blackness is not confused. We know what time it is.